Okay, so for those of you who haven't seen my most recent 2025 AFL way too early trade update video thing, holy crap, those titles are long when you read them out loud. Again, for those of you who haven't seen them, I basically talked about towards the end of that video of the recent reports and rumours actually coming out suggesting that the Collingwood Football Club's ruckman Darcy Cameron could actually be potentially looking at other teams, and more specifically, other teams that have better values, of course, from his home state. Again, there was a little bit of a report in there with, a little bit of source to it, but also a little bit of speculation that did actually, talk about the Luke Jackson trade rumor and what's going on there. Again, which says, with the shocking announcement of Luke Jackson and the strong possibility of him departing at season's end, could Fremantle have a crack at Magpie battler and local Albany product Darcy Cameron? A story floated around in mid-March that West Coast have attempted to lure the nominated All-Australian back home. This, combined with the report that Collingwood have no interest in increasing Cameron's paycheck, means he could very well be on the way back to WA if it suits him. And again, that actually got me thinking, because even though that report is talking about mainly him looking at Fremantle, especially with, again, what I've talked about on the channel of Luke Jackson potentially going back to the Melbourne Demons, I don't actually think Fremantle would be the WA team that he would be looking at, but more so West Coast. Again, as it does say, if you read it, it does say that West Coast had attempted to lure the nominated All-Australian back home. Again, I would suggest that West Coast's previous offers to Darcy Cameron haven't been of great magnitude or of great money. For example, I think the last contract extension Darcy Cameron actually just signed with Collingwood was only a 1-year extension, and I wouldn't be surprised if West Coast offered that but an extra year, most likely, on very similar cash. But of course, in today's AFL in 2025, we are looking at a completely different situation now, because Darcy Cameron has turned into a 10 times better ruckman. He is just gradually getting better and better every single year, to the point where I think he's officially 100% a top 10 ruckman in 2025. But I've seen people go as far as to say that he is a top 5 ruckman in 2025. Again, the guy's only 29 years of age, and I think that re-signing him to 1-year deals is not that great, and I think West Coast are 100% going to target him for a lot of different reasons, and I think could slightly be a chance to sign him, which I'll get into very shortly. But first of all, I want to read this out, which is actually a report from Tom Morris a little bit ago that said that Darcy Cameron is looked set for a 2-year extension at Collingwood, which will lock him in until 2028. There's also a thing here that's saying that Bobby Hill is going to have a 4-year extension as well. Again, that report was actually a couple of months ago now, and not saying there wasn't any truth to that at all, because I 100% think there was, but I genuinely believe that he was probably set to re-sign for 2 years. But with him continuously playing better and better, I think that paycheck value for him has really, really risen, to the point where now he's looking at the West Coast Eagles and he's saying there could be something seriously going on here. And I guarantee you, again, I still wouldn't be surprised if at the time making this video, he for some reason re-signs with Collingwood and cock blocks my whole entire video. Again, I'll probably edit this whole entire thing, take hours out of my day, and he'll re-sign. Again, wouldn't be surprised. He might as well just slap me in the face with his cock if he does that, because that's what that would genuinely feel like. But in saying that, I do think there's a lot of chance, that's growing now with him and West Coast, just because of what is happening with the West Coast Football Club at the moment. Again, right now, they are the worst team in the AFL by a fair margin. That is no secret. Everyone and their dad knows that. Every West Coast fan knows that. It is not a secret. But I think one thing that if they just had a different guy in this position, they usually say one player can't change a team. Well, I think in West Coast, one player actually would change a team. And that is if they got a goddamn new ruckman. Because right now, West Coast have the two worst ruckmen in the league, right? They are the two worst ruckmen in the league. Again, there's probably, let's just say, a rough estimate of 9 teams who are, playing 2 ruckmen, right? That means there are 27 starting ruckmen in the AFL as we speak, pretty much. 27 starting ruckmen. Again, I pretty much just pulled that number out of my ass. But let's just say there's 27 starting ruckmen in the AFL as we speak. Look, you could argue if Bailey Williams is better than one of them, maybe better than 2 of them, but it's no denying that Bailey Williams is the bottom 4 of those ruckmen, and Matt Flynn is easily the worst ruckman that starts in the AFL. And everyone knows this, right? It's no secret. I mean, West Coast literally know that, and that's why they 100% are targeting Cooper Duff-Tytler with the first overall pick. But the thing is, you can select Cooper Duff-Tytler with the first overall pick, but ruckmen take years to develop, and even if they are the first overall pick, they're going to need someone to, I think, develop behind of. You look at Luke Jackson a couple years ago when he developed behind Max Gawn for his first couple years. That's what West Coast are going to need to do with Cooper Duff-Tytler if they do take him at pick 1. And you just cannot have Cooper Duff-Tytler developing alongside Matt Flynn and Bailey Williams, because he's not going to develop behind them. He's already going to be better than them, and he's not going to learn anything from anyone. It's just the reality of the situations. In the history of the AFL, all the best ruckmen have developed pretty much behind someone else. It's just how it is, right? And West Coast don't have anyone to develop Cooper Duff-Tytler behind. But if I was them, and I think they're a little bit of a chance here, if they go out and offer Darcy Cameron a 2-year deal, the same as Collingwood, on more money, right? They're not going to get him. It's just the reality of things. Impossible. Not going to happen. But if they offer him 3 years on more money, I think you have more of a chance of potentially getting him. But the reality is, in my opinion, and I know this is bold, but I would do it if I was West Coast. And I know it looks a little bit bad because this guy just only signed a 1-year extension, which I think was flat out stupid in the first place. But if I was them, I would float the idea of offering Darcy Cameron a 4-year deal worth $200K per year more than what Collingwood are offering. Again, I know it sounds silly. I know it's, might be a little bit, of a situation where people will be like, that's just too long, right? But I almost think they should do it. And look, we may think that is too long because by the time that deal would be done, he'd be 34 years old. But in saying that, there are so many ruckmen in today's AFL that are going way longer in their career and are going into their early 30s pretty comfortably. Look at a guy like Toby Nankervis, freaking Max Gawn, right? Brodie Grundy, etc., etc. Of all these players that are, in their 30s that are just still playing really, really good footy. And the reality is that Darcy Cameron has gotten better, right? He's gotten better. I expect him to be probably even the same as what he is now, if not a little bit better, for at least the next year or 2. And that would be absolutely perfect to have, of course, a guy like Cooper Duff-Tytler playing behind him. Again, I don't think Darcy Cameron is going to slow down. He's not going to slow down at all. I would think for the next 3 years, I could still see this guy playing really, really good footy at 32 to 33 years old. Again, will he be playing as good as footy as 34 years old? Probably not. But again, you cross that bridge absolutely when you get to it. And worst comes to shove, right? If he's a backup ruckman at 34 to like a Cooper Duff-Tytler, that is legitimately fine. But in my opinion, you just got to get someone, and you got to get someone good who Cooper Duff-Tytler can play with and learn from. And I think Darcy Cameron would absolutely be perfect for that. Now, in an ideal world, it'd be good if they got him for 3 years, right? If you got him to 33, that would be absolutely perfect. That wouldn't be any overpay, or you wouldn't be giving him any, too many years or anything like that. And that'd be the most perfect deal and one of the best signings that they could possibly do. But I just think by the time they offer him 3 years, Collingwood are going to match it, and you're going to lose out on him because Collingwood know how good he is. Again, some people believe he's a top 5 ruckman. Some people believe he's an all-Australian squad guy again, which just means that I just don't think they're going to get him, right? So you're going to have to overpay somewhat to get him. And I think if you're bringing in a top 5 ruckman in today's day where all the top 5 ruckmen are dominating, that is absolutely perfect and would work out so great. And could you imagine West Coast team next year if they went from Bailey Williams and Matt Flynn as their 2 ruckmen to Darcy Cameron and Cooper Duff-Tytler? It would completely revolutionise their game and change so much about them. Again, gives them another key forward option as well. Cooper Duff-Tyler can, of course, go and play because, yeah, they've got a lot of key forwards on their list, but a lot of them are really young, and we don't know how many of them are fully going to work out. Plus, Oscar Allen's leaving this year. Darling left last year. Again, having Cooper Duff-Tyler and Darcy Cameron on the same team would be absolutely insane, and I seriously think it's something they should strive for. Again, I just can't see them getting him for 2 to 3 years. It's just not going to happen. But I think if they offered him a 4th year, which, look, the 4th year might not be that great, but I guarantee you he's going to play great footy for the next 3 years for the club. And that's what they really need right now. They just desperately need someone in there, because I just can't see Cooper Duff-Tyler playing behind the guys they've got now. And that would just be really unfortunate and legitimately really cruel for him. So I think this would be great for West Coast. I seriously think this should be what they're going to do. I think they're going to plan for this. I think they will plan to try and sign Darcy Cameron. I do think it's going to happen, but I still think he probably will sign with Collingwood. But you never really know. If they offer him a lot of money on 4 years, and that's something that Collingwood just don't do, yeah, I mean, you could be a legitimate chance. And goddamn, it would completely change their team in one off season if they brought in those 2 ruckmen over the 2 they've got playing right now. So, again, I'd very much like to hear all of your thoughts and opinions on this in the comment section down below. Should the West Coast Eagles target a guy like Darcy Cameron, or should they not? Again, should Collingwood re-sign him? Will he re-sign with Collingwood again? Definitely let me know all your thoughts and opinions on this in the comment section down below. Subscribe to my gaming channel, which will always be getting linked down below, and this channel for latest sports content and news. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.